Now, if she calls in, I'll put her in. Nicole.
Oh, okay. Should we tell her to call in?
1450, 671 1450.
671 1450.
These all headphones are right here, and the volume is right there.
Do you want us to put that on? 671 1450.
Okay, we're live. Thanks again for having me on. Oh, I think it's great that you got me on, and then you're having the chairman on, and call in, and all kinds of good stuff.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, it is.
An informative show today for sure.
And Greg, remind me how long you want to go.
Okay, gotcha. Want to say good afternoon. Hey, we're at a special time because it's a special season.
It is.
And certainly I'm excited once again to have with me none other than the conscious check chick herself, Miss Christine Henry. How are you?
That's me. That's me.
That's you?
That's me, Pastor James. That's
Well,
me.
listen, I'm glad to have you with us. We've got a special session today because this will be the last Wednesday prior to what we're going to call it. I mean, it's actually August 23rd.
Yeah, I mean, is it a Tuesday?
It's a Tuesday.
A Super Tuesday, and the first Super Tuesday is coming up. And we know that all the folks in the room. Oh, am I coming up? Okay, thank you, Doc. Get us right. Get us right, Doc D. Thank you. One time for Doc D, y'all. Super Tuesday is coming up. This is the primary. All right, so this is the first rung. A lot of folks have invested blood, sweat, tears, and some other organs into getting ready for this time, for this first prior election. And we definitely want to say that today is a very special edition of this show, because we want to make sure that we have some of our brand new candidates. We're just talking about how we have some newer candidates that are coming online, that are running for office, experiencing the public process, experience the public rancor. You know, it's just all that goes into your pursuit of representation of our community on government level. So I really am excited about today's show. Greg, you can speak like nobody else on how that inaugural experience is in the public life. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, I really can, and certainly we have come to grips with a lot of things, but I'm going to pause that. This is what I need to happen. This is what I need to happen right now. Let's make sure that we've got Nicole on. Nicole, are you there?
Hey, good afternoon.
Okay.
Hey, Nicole.
We need to put some headphones on. Yeah.
We got Nicole on the line, and Nicole, we're glad to have you. Why don't you just go ahead on and give us your intake, Nicole, on what you think and feel about this upcoming show, and we've got the season that we're in. It's the week before. We're going to call it Super Tuesday.
Super Tuesday.
And we got the mayor coming up as our first guest. But let's do something right quick. Let me get all of our Facebook friends to go ahead on tag share. I know it's a new time, and we kind of like surprised them because we didn't give them heads up notice that we was going to be on at 1:30. But we're going to take advantage of Doc D audience that's already online and on air. So now we've spread it beyond 15,000 because, you know, Doc D has a woo. So we're excited about that. Nicole, it's on you.
Yes, I am excited and delighted to hear Nicole have a conversation with Nicole, connecting the community to conversations. Listen, I have been doing these virtual meet and greets, and I have been getting an earful from these candidates. So I have one today with Mayor Daly at 6:30 on Facebook and YouTube. And so this was a very interesting time. I mean, we have some races that are quite contentious. So I just hope that we can, you know, regulate our emotions. And I know we are passing some of the issues, but, you know, let's try to work together and get some stuff done.
Yes, and you know, Greg got a little emotional there before he put a pause there. I know he had to pause himself when you said emotional. Can you talk a little bit about the emotion, right? Because people don't understand this. It's emotional running for public office. You know, people come at you, they talk about your mama and your grandmama, they dig up old stuff. I mean, it's emotional. Can you speak a little bit to that? Maybe Greg might share some emotions that he might have.
I'll tell you what, I'll do this real quickly. And when we think about the emotions, I think about all of the emojis.
Ooh.
So so that gives me a good outlook when it comes to it. But one of the things that I've learned doing this course, this is a different course that I'm on, and one of the things, Nicole, that has been really a blessing to me is to be able to bring the emotions under subjection and not let what people say, what people do really affect you, because when you know what you are, you know what you're doing, you know why you're doing it, then you don't have to become emotionally outraged at what people are thinking and even what they're doing. You just keep doing what you're doing. So it's been one of the most humbling experience that I've ever been in, to say the most. But the beautiful part of it is you're able to engage on so many levels, to hear so many people's hearts about how they feel about the community, how they feel about state issues, and you're able to get it from a very real perspective. So that has been the driving force, just being able to knock on doors and hear what people are having to say. I was in Chattahoochee on yesterday, and people were leaving from the state hospital, and just had an opportunity to people to just stop at the corner and say to me, hey, what are your thoughts about what's happening at the hospital, the overwork, the understaffed, and just to hear them. And it gave me a different sense of outlook on people really care, not only about what's happening to them, they care about what's happening to others. And I think that's what this is all about. So I'm excited about today, and I'm grateful for all of us who have voices in this media space that are coming together to bring our community more information as we move into Super Tuesday.
I agree. I think, and Nicole, you can speak to this as well. I think that this also shows the power of media, to really debunk mythology, the power of media to bring relevant voice and true voice to the table, to debunk a lot of existing maybe mindsets or perceptions, because there is a lot of false narrative out there, and it's really unfortunate because good people get caught in the middle of it. And the more that we can activate the power of media, you can tell me if you agree or this or not, the more we can activate the power of media, the more we are functioning as truth tellers and as narrative breakers and conveyors. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Talking about real things. There are a lot of negative ads that are out there, whether that is video, via commercials, on social media, on radio, as well as some mailers. Some mailers, boy, they insist. They make you raise the eyebrows. Like, really? Did they really do that? So, I think my platform, Greg's platform, anywhere where we can allow the candidates to come and speak to these issues up front, close and personal, that's going to be, I think, a win-win situation. I mean, I had Kristen Dozier on yesterday, and somebody flat out asked her about her real estate deal, about, her in $27 million for FSU. So, to hear it from the person and not the way sometimes things are spent is valuable. So, yeah, you're right. It does play an important role, and I'm just excited to be here and be a part of, this broadcast to help get the word out about what's on the hearts and minds of these candidates, these leaders, our elected officials.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, listen, go ahead on. Let me say this to our Facebook audience. They're chiming in. I got just Big D is on.
Hey, Big D.
He said we can have barbecue after it's all over because he know we're gonna be hungry. So.
Please don't play. Okay. I will be there.
All right. Well, listen. I'm excited about it, Christique. I know you are, Nicole. You are, and I think one of the things that we decided last week that it was vitally important that we extend the invitation, and we are a community show. Greg James, it's the Greg James Community Show.
That's right.
It's about information and it's about inspiration. So we're excited to dive in on today as we prepare for the challenge that's ahead.
That's right. That's
and
right.
as we get ready, our first guest that is joining us, I mean, this guy is just absolute phenomenal.
Mhm.
I mean, and I had an opportunity of meeting him some years and years ago. One of the things that I would say before we get going
Mhm.
is that I had an opportunity of meeting John Daly when he was a county commissioner.
Mhm.
Greg James was trying to do the 1,000-man rally downtown. He was going to be the first African-American mayor to block off downtown.
Mhm.
I went to the city. I couldn't get no help.
Mhm. You can get no help.
None. I couldn't get the mayor to help me. I couldn't get council members to help me. At the city, I ran across this young man.
He was young back then.
He was young then.
He had just got here.
He was young and he
My
was
hair wasn't
courageous.
gray yet.
Yeah. I think you might have some help with that.
But he was young and he was courageous. And he said to me, and I said, hey, I'm trying to get a permit. I'm trying to get insurance. I want to have a 1,000-man rally downtown. He recalled one I had before at Walker Ford. And he said, well, hey, whatever I need to do, you let me know. I said, well, I need this. I need this. He said, it's done. And that's how we met. Without any questions, he thought it was great what I was doing, coming from where I was coming from. And he went to work to ensure that I had the officers there, that I had the whatever I needed. So that's how we met. And I'll never forget that. Moments like that are unforgettable, and nothing changes that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you having me on today.
Yes, sir.
You know, I could probably one up that a little bit because I met Mayor Daley when he was running for county commission.
That's right.
I met him at a Realtor RPAC candidate forum
That's
that the local Tallahassee Board of Realtors was doing. And he came fresh from London or somewhere. Y'all had just come from somewhere.
Come back from DC.
Come back from DC. He had talked about his experience at Oxford and talked about all the experiences that he had. And he was extremely, even then, just like, wow, you know, this is pretty good. You know, thinking about all the other ones that we had heard that day. So it was really great. And it's really been great to see him, progress from that day to the county commission, obviously.
Well, thank you.
And then cross over to the city commission. And that just lets you know how important it is to have good, accessible leadership in place. And Mayor Daley, first of all, I got to hit you with this question.
Sure.
What has been the difference in the crossover?
So that's a great question. Thanks for having me on, y'all. I really appreciate it. And by the way, before I jump in, let me also add my voice in admiration, seriously, to anybody and everybody that's willing to step up to the plate,
That's right.
put their name in the hat and run for office. It is brutal. And it is a tough process. It's tough on the entire family, but I do have the utmost respect for anybody who is willing to step up to the plate and say, I'm willing to serve in an elected office. And Greg, I know you have your race too, and best of luck. And yeah, it's an interesting dynamic.
It is.
So when you look at the difference between city and county government, and the reason why cities were formed to begin with, counties provide a certain basic level of service. And the way how a city is created, first and foremost, is that you have a group of citizens in a geographic area that want services above and beyond what a county government will provide, and they are willing to tax themselves to do so. They will go by referendum to create the city, and then it has to be approved by the Florida legislature. And that's how every city in the state of Florida was actually created. So when we look at the difference between the county government and the city government, while there are some things that we have in common, parks and recreation and the services that are provided, there are many things that are different, which are municipal services versus county services. For instance, City of Tallahassee provides you your utilities, which are very important. We maintain the city roads, city sidewalks, the city parks, police, fire. So there are different services. Now, I will say that Tallahassee-Leon County is unique because we only have one municipality within the county.
Right.
And it is important that the 12 of us work very well together so that we can move this community forward. But the basic difference between the city and the county are the services that we provide.
Wow.
And the reason why we were created as a city was to provide services above and beyond what Leon County provides.
That's right. That's right. And I think that you just gave us like a 2-minute like civic lesson, right? which is why when we talk about conscience check, I think that we're in an area where people need to understand what government is
Sure.
and what it ain't.
And the responsibilities.
And the responsibilities.
Correct.
So, I mean, Greg, we talk about this all the time, you know, how people have a preconceived notion of what government is supposed to be based upon now the proliferation of social media,
Correct.
what they see in other places, national trend. But every municipality, every county, every city is different.
Right.
Correct. Correct. And even the difference in the type of governments that we have. We have a council management form of government, which means that you have your elected officials that have oversight at the 30,000 foot level. We hire the professionals as a city manager, city attorney, the inspector general, and the treasurer clerk, and they hire their teams to run the day-to-day operations of the city. There are many people that think that as mayor, I am a strong mayor and I run the day-to-day operations of the city, and that is simply not the case.
Could you say that again now? They think that you run. Let's
You have a
talk about
couple of larger municipalities. Let's use Tampa or Orlando as an example, where the mayor actually serves as the CEO of the
That's
city.
right.
They are the city manager. They run the day-to-day operations of the city. But we have, and it's the most popular form of government in the state of Florida, what's called a council management form,
Yes.
where it is our responsibility to set the laws, set the policy, and to set the budget, but then to hire the best of the best to execute the day-to-day operations. Now, I will say I'm a little partial. I think we got the best of the best. We are an award-winning, nationally recognized municipal government in the United States. We do a really good job. Our community is named year after year as one of the best in the southeastern United States. We've got a great working relationship with the county, with the school board, with the university system, and we're heading in the right direction. Now, that is not to say we don't have many challenges in this community, and we've got a lot of work that we need to continue to do. But I like where we are, and I like where we're heading. We just need to keep our nose to the grindstone, continue to bring people to the table, talk about the issues, and make sure that we're heading in the right direction and doing what we need for the citizens of Tallahassee.
That's
Okay.
right.
Wow. Okay, Nicole, I see your hand, so go ahead on and raise your question.
So, have you on here with the 1,000 later?
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to spell out to us, like, what are some of the key issues that the city is tackling right now? The city agenda issues right now.
Nicole, it's a great question. And actually, when you think about 4 years ago when I ran for mayor, one of the items that I ran on was we needed to create a 5-year strategic plan. We needed to have a vision to be able to move this community forward, and year after year after year, stay focused on that vision moving forward. We can dive into all three of them, but I would say right now, if you take a snapshot of the city, we are really concentrating on job creation, good job creation, providing a great livable wage and economic opportunity for all citizens. And we're doing a pretty good job. If you think about it, right now we have one of the fastest growing economies of any municipality per capita in the state of Florida. Last year alone, we created over 5,000 great paying jobs. We had over $850 million worth of private investment in our community. Now, again, do we have a lot of work? Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to all the opportunities that take place at the airport as just one example of where we can continue to grow. But we're heading in the right direction. So job growth is number one. And I would say another number one would be affordable housing. Like many communities across the United States, we have a housing crisis. We have a housing crisis. Christique, I know I'm preaching to the choir on this because you're a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
We have a housing crisis, not only with our Section 8 housing and low-income housing, but workforce housing in every price point.
Yes.
And we have to have a serious conversation about the sustainable growth of our community and how we are going to take care of the needs. Because look, Tallahassee might be a great place to work, but if you have to drive 2 counties over because you can't afford to live here and work here, that is definitely an issue. Obviously, violent crime is on everyone's mind as well. These are the top 3 that we're focused on. And every day we need to wake up and continue to work as hard as we possibly can to make a positive dent in the violent crime situation. As you know, as mayor, during the budget workshops, I have set aside $1 million a year for the next 5 years. so that we have proper funding for gun violence interruption programs. I know that you have participated, that we are bringing together community groups that are in this space working hard to make sure that we're streamlining the services that we're providing, that we're collaborating together. You're seeing great synergy between the city and the county and the school board with the creation of the Commission on the Status of Men and Boys. I had a great meeting just this morning, as a matter of fact, with the deputy sheriff, with the deputy city manager, with Royal King, the new executive director of that commission, on how we can move forward. Looking forward to seeing what the product's going to be during the budget process with our local resources being able to move forward.
Yes.
But yes, those are probably, Nicole, the top 3 issues that we are focused on. Affordable housing, job creation, and gun violence. And we could dig in on any or all of those issues to whatever extent you'd like.
Well, I think that it's really important. I got the chance to serve as on the Citizens Advisory Committee for Utilities. And when we talk about these issues, there are implications to these issues.
Mhm.
Our city gets a credit rating, right?
Right.
Talk a little bit about the bond rating for our city, how that impacts our ability to leverage and to borrow based upon our collection of referendum, and how these issues proliferation could impact that perceived credit rating, if you will, that the city gets.
Sure. And as we move forward, our credit rating is very important because that is part of the financial plan as we move forward to pay for projects.
Mhm.
And the city of Tallahassee has the best credit rating that you can attain as a city government, which we're very proud of. That means that we're running a very efficient municipality. You're getting the best bang for your buck. In fact, I don't know if you two know, the city of Tallahassee was just named the 5th most efficient municipal government in the state of Florida for the services that you receive based on the taxes and the fees that you pay.
Mm.
And we're very proud of that.
Amazing.
We want your dollar to go as far as we possibly can. We have the #1 public utility in the nation. We are recognized as one of the top 10 communities in the southeastern United States. We're an efficient government, and we actually do have, when you compare us to the other top 20 municipalities of similar size across the state of Florida, we have one of the lowest tax bases.
Yeah, and you're trying not to increase that tax base, but I think I want to put a stick in that, Greg and Nicole, if y'all want to jump in. We maintained that bond rating through COVID.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we did very, very well. Not all municipalities can say that. A lot of communities went through some very tough times, but we were able to hold still, keep us in a financially sound position, being able to move forward.
Do you feel like, as serving as mayor, I mean, I know COVID was a very tough time throughout the nation, but do you feel like that was your toughest time, or do you feel like there were a time prior to was your toughest time?
I always tell people that being mayor is the greatest job in the world, and it's probably the toughest job in the world. COVID was no different. I ran for office talking about quality of life issues, talking about tax base. Those things are important to us. And then 1 year in, we get hit with a 100-year global pandemic, and everybody expects you to be an expert epidemiologist overnight. Sometimes people forget that we are elected lay people, whether it's in the legislature,
Mhm.
city commission, county commission, and we are not experts in everything.
Right.
COVID was unusual, but yet this community came together and we found our experts in the healthcare community, in the mental health care community,
That's right.
to make sure that we pulled together, we were all heading in the right direction. And that's when true leadership, steady leadership, steps up to the plate. But the way how COVID impacted every aspect of the services that we provide and truly impacted every aspect of our individual lives, yes, it was a very difficult time. I'll also give you a little peek. I don't really talk too much about the inner workings of the family and stuff, but it was also interesting as a father. At the time, my kids were in 3rd grade and 5th grade. And, we're all working from home, and they were probably exposed to some conversations that normal 3rd graders and 5th graders don't necessarily hear about the health of the community, the mental health of the community. If you recall, we had social injustice issues that really frustrated
Absolutely.
individuals. We had protests in the streets.
Yes.
And so it was an interesting dynamic on a personal level, not only being the mayor of the city of Tallahassee, but also being a husband and a dad
Yes.
and taking care of the health and mental health of my own family.
Yes, and I think that's a key point to bring up, and I know that Nicole does a lot with mental health, and as we kind of bring it home with this conversation, let's talk a little bit about public health and
Sure.
talk a little bit about what the city's role is in that and what it ain't, and moving forward, how we can activate and empower citizens, and maybe Nicole can add some more in terms of what we're hearing from the community and what they see as necessary.
So it's interesting when we talk about mental health and healthcare services, this is where it gets real easy to fall into your traditional silos of who's supposed to do what. By the Florida Constitution, the county government is supposed to be the local provider of healthcare and mental health care. And first of all, let me give a shout out to the health department, all the incredible men and women of not only the county, but the city,
Yes.
because we broke down those barriers during COVID. And let me tell you something, FAMU was a national leader with not only the testing facility, but also their vaccination program that they had as well. It took the entire community to come together. But the city of Tallahassee also realized that there is a strong role that we could play in this community. I am a big proponent of mental health services. I truly believe that everyone is dealing with their own mental health issues, is related to someone dealing with mental health issues, or knows someone who's dealing with mental health issues. In full disclosure, I've served on the board of directors at the Appalachia Center for over a decade. So I have been in this space for a while. I am proud that the city of Tallahassee is, quite honestly, the only city that I know of in the state of Florida that offers free mental health services to the citizens of Tallahassee. You can walk into the Lincoln Neighborhood Center today, and you can speak to a licensed and trained professional. Every citizen has up to 3 visits, and during those 3 visits, not only will you receive mental health assistance, but we will help put you on the right path to wellness and help identify other resources that you may or may not want to utilize through your journey. We also created, you want to jump in there?
No. I'm just hearing this is very
Correct. Correct.
I mean, for me to hear this is like, it's refreshing, because if by chance the community is not made aware of what is being done, then there will always be a complaint. There will always be those naysayers. So thank you for sharing, and Nicole adding the extended services that have been provided.
Yes, thank you, Nicole, for reminding me that. And the truth is that we realize that you've got to look at a holistic picture of transportation can be a barrier to some. So instead of asking the public to come to us, we created a program that went to the neighborhoods,
Yes.
which is very important. But it also takes a little pre-planning to say, okay, on this day, I'm going to go and get. So there are times that we know that we all experience times of crisis when you need mental health services immediately. We created the team, which is the Tallahassee Emergency Assessment Mobile Unit, where the primary position is a mental health counselor. The secondary position is a paramedic for physical health, and there is a law enforcement officer, a non-uniform law enforcement officer that serves in the tertiary just in case help is needed. But if you call 911 and you have a mental health issue, we can send the team out.
Wow.
And the pilot program was a tremendous success, and we're looking forward to expanding it during this budget cycle. So those are 2 prime examples of how the city of Tallahassee has stepped up with mental health services. We're very proud.
Someone has a question, Mary. They said, with the newfound interest in HBCUs since the hiring of Coach Deion Sanders alike, what funding from the city of Tallahassee that is in the works or on the horizon for FAMU academics and athletic?
Well, I am a true believer that our higher education system in Tallahassee is better than any community across the United States. And I'm very proud that we have the #1 public HBCU in the nation right here. I've got an incredible working relationship. Excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat. But got an incredible working relationship with Dr. Robinson. And if you think about how we are working from the academic side with the city of Tallahassee, trying to get the students involved with some of the studies that we're doing, the infrastructure that we are putting in through the blueprint. That's why I was a huge supporter of the blueprint projects and blueprint budget, is because of the public infrastructure that we're putting in and around the university campus. And of course, there is Bragg Stadium. Dr. Robinson came to the blueprint not too long ago and said, if we cannot join up in partnership, and if you can please help us out, we need to redo Bragg Stadium, or else we're not going to be able to play football. Football in this community drives our tourism budget of $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
It is the largest driver. And so we stepped up to the plate, and many of us supported that investment in Bragg Stadium. And so we're going to have a very successful year. I'm calling it right now, by the way. We're going to win the SWAC. I'm calling it right
Go
now.
ahead and call it now. We're gonna all
Absolutely.
be
All
touching
right.
and agreeing
I
on
went
the
out.
face
I went out
station.
the other day to watch them scrimmage 2 Saturdays ago. They're looking good.
They have
are looking good.
fantastic leadership.
They
And I
do.
want to
Coach
give a
Simmons,
shout out to Coach Simmons.
He's incredible.
Visionary leadership. That's what we need across the board. Visionary leadership, continued visionary leadership on our city side, on our state side, so that we can make magic happen in our community.
So when we talk about this too, and this is one thing that I can also help out, we can all help out with. And I hope he doesn't mind, I'm gonna call him out anyway, but one of the linebackers for the Rattler football team, his name is Kyle Jackson. So I met Kyle last spring. He's an engineering student. He's about to graduate. And he called me up and said, Mayor Daley, I'd love to get some experience in the off season. I'm really interested in traffic engineering. And so we went and we had lunch. I learned more about him. We have an internship program at the City of Tallahassee. He did an internship with the Blueprint, specifically in traffic engineering.
Wow.
And with some of the infrastructure projects. He did an absolutely amazing job. His internship ended right before spring practice
Wow.
started.
Wow.
But he did a great job. So providing great opportunities as well for the students here is very important.
And you know, one of the things that I'm gonna say, and I know we got to wrap this up, but the opportunities that are being made available, it takes someone like yourself that can embrace those who are looking for those opportunities and help walk them through that. You said something that was key. You had lunch.
Mhm.
Y'all sat down. Y'all got to know each other.
Mm.
You got to feel him. You got to understand him.
That's right.
And then you move forward to say,
Yes.
now let me see how I can help facilitate what you're trying to do.
That's right.
I think the leader servant heart inside of you is just amazing.
Well, I appreciate it.
And I want to say to you today that as you move forward, never forget the real focus.
Mm.
And that is keeping the people in your heart and keeping your heart in the right place. And
Appreciate it,
doing that, it makes the work much easier. And
I agree.
Christique and Nicole, if I could just say, if there was anything that you wanted the 12,000 listeners to know about right now as we move towards Super Tuesday, what would that be with the 90 seconds that we have now?
We need to go vote. I want everybody to exercise their right to vote. No matter
Yes.
who your candidate is,
That's right.
I want you to go vote. That is the backbone of American democracy.
Yes.
And I want everybody to participate. Can I tell a funny story?
Yes, you can.
Pastor James, you remember the first time also when you found out that I was an elder in the Presbyterian Church?
Oh my God.
I came to your church, all right? So in the Presbyterian Church, there's 2 different types of
Right.
elders. You got ruling elders
Yes.
and teaching elders. I'm a ruling elder, which is the business of the church. I'm not a teaching elder, which is a preacher.
Right.
I show up at Pastor James' church. He gets up there. He goes, "Hey, this is John Daly. He's your mayor. He's also an elder.
Yeah.
You want the pulpit?" I was like,
No.
"Oh no! Oh, I can't do that."
But one of the things that we got, Nicole, I'll tell you this. One of the things that we were able to get out of them, you know how we put on the praise beat, pick them up, put them down? We had it doing a little hallelujah shout.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. I
So-
saw
so
him
we
at
excuse him on
the
that.
Florida Primitive Baptist Association cutting a little bit of a rug. Y'all better watch out for Bill Daly now. You get his praise on.
Nicole, tell us tonight what time your interview is going to be so we can plug it in to make all of our listeners get a more in-depth, direct look at the mayor, the management, the man, the motivation, the mission, the maximizing moments that he's done. What time is that? And
That's a lot of
that's a lot
him.
of
A lot of M's. Every M.
We are on at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Conversations with Nicole on YouTube and on Facebook. So don't miss it.
All right. So that's happening
Right.
tonight. Well, Mayor, listen, we certainly want to thank you for taking
Yes,
time to
good.
be with us
Thank
today.
you.
And we look forward to seeing you on the other side of victory.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
continuing
Really
this
appreciate it.
conversation, you know, we can have moments like this every other month, just so people can really, because people don't understand government. So
Right.
anything people say, right, is going to seem like the truth if you don't know or understand.
That's
So
right.
if we can continue to keep this conversation rolling, that would be great.
That'd be great.
All
Sounds
right.
good. Thank you.
Well, listen, don't go nowhere. Keep it locked right here on. That's right. It's the Community Talk Show with
Community
Nicole, Christique, and Greg. Let this commercial bless you. It's one of my spots, so you better listen real good. Here we go.
Oh, man.
Thank
That
you.
was excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Great questions from the audience.
Absolutely. There were several more questions that I
Yeah.
didn't get a chance to get to.
Yeah, we gotta catalog those questions and get them over to you.
I understand.
It's good.
Thank you.
Really good.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Oh no, man, it's good.
That's right. All right. I'll send it to Reggie. Hopefully you can do it. If not, I'll call him and just send you right. Because I got to get up on it.
Call and ask them
Hey,
to,
Jerry.
Mr. Mayor, what's your favorite gospel song? I didn't hear y'all talk about your gospel. The mayor, I didn't hear his gospel selection. You're doing good. No, he well. I said, man, he's getting in doing great things. Hey,
That's all.
I'll be right back. We still live. Yep.
You heading out? Okay, okay.
No.
We live. We coming back. Okay, Doc. I think Marcus is trying to get on. Nicole? Nicole? Okay. Okay. Hello, Facebook folks. We are still on. Y'all keep it tuned in. We're getting ready to get to segment 2, where we're going to be featuring our own chair, Commissioner Proctor, County Commission, in our next segment of conversation, continuing our State of the Community exchange here. So we look forward to your questions. Keep them coming. And here we go. We got a couple of questions coming on. I see a couple of questions coming up. Oh, okay. And y'all talk to each other as well. We see y'all responding. Keep those responses coming. Tag and share the information. This is going to be an exciting segment of the show. Okay?
What y'all gonna do? First Baptist Springfield, please come on through.
come on.
Made by Bill Proctor for Leon County Commission District 1. It's Hallelujah, 95.3 FM. What y'all gonna do?
Did you write that down or you just hit the mic a little bit?
I'm trying to tell. I'm sitting out there like,
Like, I'm talking about what you were saying. I know you talking about church, but what you were saying.
all right, stay tuned in. Don't go nowhere and go vote. Stay tuned in. We got to get some logistics done right quick. And Marcus,
Okay.
okay, all right.
I couldn't think of that now. Ain't he all right? Want to do it? Let me see. He make away some way. Then you're like, somebody bet him on doing it.
I was out of, I ain't know nothing. No.
All right, let me spray that because.
Oh, yeah.
You need his number, Doc?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm texting to you right now.
Yes,
I'm about to spray it down, just in case any bull.
All right, listen, go ahead on and tag and share.
Okay, gotcha.
Let's get everybody in.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Marcus Nicholas gonna join us for the next
I
segment.
know.
Marcus Nicholas gonna join us for the next segment, so we're gonna roll it on.
Listen, I want to thank all of our Facebook family for joining us. We are moving. We're moving. Now joining us is the chair of Leon County Commissioners, Mr. Bill Proctor.
Hi.
We are back right here on, that's right, the Great James Community Show. Joining us today,
Yes.
Nicole Everett. Conversation with Nicole, Conscious Chick, Christy Henry. And we just finished talking with Mayor John Daly. And now we're now joined by none other than Commissioner Bill Proctor, the commissioning chair for Leon County Board of Commissioners.
Yeah, you talk about a State of the Community show. We are really excited to get some insight on what our county that just came out of budget meeting. We know every year they discuss all these important issues and conversations, and then they discuss how they're gonna pay for it. And so we're really excited to have our chairman here to talk about how that process has gone and what are the key target issues that our commission are gonna address this year. And any other thoughts he has for us?
First, I'm just so honored to be with you all. This is just a tall honor to walk in such stately and deep company. And I was on the phone trying to solve one of the world's problems just now. And I know that was a very important question. I missed it. I'm sitting right.
No, we just say, hey.
That's what happened in school. When the teacher talking, you're right there in front of me. Say, I'm sorry, teacher, could you repeat it? I apologize. I got ADD, so I'm gonna try to make it all the way through this interview. But be simple now. That's too long of a question. What you talking about?
We just said a big hey.
All right.
And what's going on with the county commission? What's your key stuff? Now, what's the things that the county commission want to do in this upcoming year? Y'all done voted on the money.
Yeah, we got some money.
Okay, all right.
And the good thing is that property values have gone up. So with property values, the value of property going up, the millage rate hadn't. But if you paid on a $100,000 house last year, and this year it's assessed at $109,000. So the amount that comes into the coffers of the county increases incrementally by way of that valuation.
Right.
So we're in a good space right now because so much of this property has gone up. So we will get a little windfall than usual. I think you can be very pleased with the county's role in the PPE distribution during the COVID. It certainly kept momentum in the economy. Monies that were distributed to business owners, to businesses, to individuals. That money came down for renters. All of that, the county has been huge, like you probably never noted before. We have been in a soft space lately in the loss of Commissioner Jimbo Jackson.
Yes.
And sentimentally, our hopes, whoever comes in from District 2, there's going to be a lot of equity in that person because they're receiving the goodwill and favor and respect that we held. And if I might make a comment, I don't know if this is, we're supposed to talk about politics and stuff today.
I mean, kind of a little bit, but go and make your comment.
Okay, I didn't want to be out of line.
No, you're good.
I never like to be out of line except for when I am out of line. Other than that, I never want to be out of line. But Jane Sauls and Jimbo Jackson were of a special ilk in the relation that they had intergenerationally with their communities, having grown up there. They knew their parents, grandparents, they knew the kids behind. And in particular, Jimbo Jackson being a school principal. Right. And I need to tell y'all, it's something different about a guy like Jimbo Jackson who nurtured kids, their parents, he knew them, he knew these babies now. And when you in these people's hearts, that's a totally different space than your name being on a yard sign and your name on a sheet of paper passing around trying to put somebody to get your name. Jimbo Jackson's name was inside the lining of those people's hearts and mind. And you can't take that away. So these new candidates represent a paradigm shift from what was a familiar face, brand, quality, ilk type person from District 2. These are new folk who, knew not the king of old and the generations of past. So it's an interesting experience. Looking over there at District 5, Commissioner Dozier has a different kind of district, the tapestry of it, the east side, the socioeconomic diversity of that area is unique and different from a District 2. So the attributes of that person may be a little more corporate, a little more less mom and pop, approach to people and who they are, all that. So it's a very interesting dynamic in both of these races.
Yes.
Which is, and then of course, District 1, we're not going to talk about District 1. Coke is it. I brought a Coca-Cola in here because I knew y'all was gonna put me on the hot seat and I was gonna have a
No,
little
no,
And
no.
I promise, ain't nothing in it but Coca-Cola. If you want to sip it, I
So let me say this, because you made mention of what could possibly be very interesting dynamics. When you look at where the county is projected to go,
Mhm.
how will the new commissioners fit into those spaces to help fulfill the county's vision that was already established?
Well, there's no doubt that the children's services thingy is absolutely needed. Man, I need to talk that part. The Children's Services Council was necessary. It's had 1 year. There's no question that the new commission will get behind the sheriff's research about crimes and murder. And now we just kicked it off and hired a new executive director
Couple of days ago.
yeah, a little bit ago. And we're looking forward to that. Those are the new latest and greatest efforts of which the county is putting money behind, local government is putting money behind. And you have to look at those two new instruments and hope for their strongest response and hope for their positive impact. And I think that the new commissioners, whoever they are, just looking at the agendas and the platforms, I think they all will fit very gracefully behind that thrust into the social issues. The 32305 summits, which this commissioner, myself, have given leadership to over 2019, 2020 came and we had to cease and desist. 2021, we had to cease and desist, social distancing and all of those things. So last week we had the 5th summit, and the first since 2019, and we had to set up additional chairs and tables to accommodate people's interests, which is indicative of the fact that our community still has a vibrant pulse and a concern, compassion to the issues of poverty. And we use 32304 merely as the symbol of a face, the poster child, but poverty all across Leon County. So it's been exciting. And I know that to many, when you're doing the intellectual deep dive and you're explicating the data that validates poverty, be it in health, be it education, be it in housing, be it in jobs, in whatever category you are examining the comparative conditions of people's lives. To some, going to the library, reading a book is not exciting. But before you can act in place and know what you're reacting to, you have to do and get the information to program in that way. So I don't apologize for the work. And I think that the Sheriff McNeil to do a 5-year look back for a study from whence to say, okay, we've looked at it 5 years back. This is what we think is a programmatic approach to dealing with this right here. That's what I appreciate over the last 2-3 years, that during the pandemic, we've gone to data analysis mode. And I'm grateful that our staff was able to keep stride at the same time of responding to the pandemic.
So, Commissioner Proctor, I'd like to just kind of dovetail into the conversation that you had about just the broad difference in needs throughout that's distributed through the county. We know a great deal of your district is in rural Leon County. And there's a lot of area that is in rural Leon County, which is wholly under the jurisdiction of services from Leon County government. You were a strong proponent of the LIFE referendum, of the LIFE program to be funded through the Blueprint referendum. Can you talk a little bit about infrastructure in rural communities and kind of where the priority is for county government moving forward in a community that's going to experience incremental and exponential growth over the next 5 years?
There's no question. Thank you for that question. And ever since I have been on the commission, I have a 2-decade quest and voice echoing in the wilderness for sewer pipes to come into Woodville, come down Woodville Highway area. And the most important thing probably of a legacy that I may leave, it ain't sexy, but what I would have done is to amass $80 million, of which the county is walking pipes, central sewer pipes, down into Woodville. What that means is the kind of pipes that you have for infrastructure in the ground controls and sets the standard for what can occur on top of the ground. When you have central sewer pipes, you can build commercial spaces larger than 2,500 square feet when you have those central sewer pipes. For instance, when Publix on Crawfordville Road and Capitol Circle, it took 7 years to get a permit. Well, you can't build a Publix as large as 2,500 square feet commercial on a septic situation. There are restaurants in Woodville that give you paper plates. I'll call seigneurs specifically. And the reason you can't get a plate, china, they don't wash dishes, is because they're on septic and they ain't gonna be washing no dishes because they're gonna fill up the thing, in about a week and a half. So everything is on plates and throw it away, plastic. That's the distinction of what central sewer means to the kind of commercial opportunities. Then when you have central sewer, it changes the density of residential clustering, how many houses per acre you can do. Currently in Woodville, on those rural designated areas, you can only put one house per 10 acres, okay? When you put a central sewer pipe down, you now have given chance to minimum of 4 houses per acre. And then you're talking about how does a developer redeem the cost of developing? Well, building one house on per 10 acres, it ain't gonna change fast. But if you can put 8 houses on an acre or something, you begin to, sharpen your pencils and see what kind of margins of profit you can do. And it's going to allow for a development and not waste land and bring the prices potentially down, I believe, when you can increase volume like that. That's been the hope. That's been the quest. Look at my record. I'm so guilty of calling for these pipes, understanding it can be the transformation factor for residential as well as commercial. Now, when it all builds out, I may be long gone to a house someplace else. But in terms of what I would have left behind are the initial infrastructure to see transformation occur.
Yeah, that's good. Nicole?
Yes.
District 1 continues to have the challenges, no doubt, of what's that sociological word when white people move into black folk neighborhood? Gentrification, thank you. Gentrification will continue to be a big issue in terms of what happens between Thorpe Street and Tennessee Street. Can people hold on? Me and Reverend James, we grew up in the D Street of Springfield. I grew up on Dover. He grew up off of Dade. We went to church on Dade. Dade and Dunn, Dent, Reverend Miles Church over there. Can people who grew up in those neighborhoods afford to hold on? I was told of a value of a property that sold for in excess of what was being asked just today. I was surprised by, but we have so many people outside of the city who shining money, and from where they are coming from. I mean, you look at, in particular, you look at an area like Los Angeles and how much property is on the West Coast. And when you come to Tallahassee, I mean, people so willing to give more than what you're asking. And for families who feel stuck in properties that they don't know what to do, can't fix, ain't going nowhere, When you offer them more than what they asking, and it's a free market. How do you control it? How do we keep Springfield? How do we keep Florida State's northern march across Tennessee? I think, Nicole, that's going to be huge. When you look in the area of South City, with the redevelopment being led by Tallahassee Housing Authority, will that be Myers Park, crosses the Mason-Dixie line of Magnolia Drive? And when you look at Magnolia Drive right now, and you see how Myers Park looks, how wide the streets, the curving, they have over there a baseball field, they have over there a park, a duck pond, a swimming pool, all the amenities. But come across the Mason-Dixie line to South City. The streets are narrow, ditches, open gutters, sidewalks, and it's horrific. It's like a third world nation in comparison. But from the same city, which our mayor spoke a few moments ago, they don't see South City, but they see Myers Park. And it has a park, the tennis courts, the duck pond, baseball fields, a golf course, even black folk buried out there too, and wide streets, 28 feet. I've measured those things myself, 30 feet in some spots. I've measured them, and it's treated different. We have to continue to push for equity in the infrastructure. I think that when you look at those 8 precincts, I believe, in the South Side, inside of Capitol Circle, that cannot vote, we have voter suppression. And I don't understand why in our great city, the people who live closest to the sewer treatment plant, they have to put theirs in the backyard, but other sides of town, predominantly affluent sides of town, they send all of theirs in the city's big pipe. And we get it, we know what everybody ate for dinner, lunch, but ours have to go in the backyard. Why do black people's sewer must go in their backyards? That's a big issue over the next 4 years. Black sewer ought to go where white sewer ought to go. It ought to go to the same place. And the reason the South Side is so sensitive is because it's closest to the aquifer. And on the northern part of Tallahassee, to reach water beneath clay, which is non-porous clay, nothing penetrates clay. Clay, pottery is made out of clay. Bowls are made out of clay. Clay is on the north side, but it's 185 feet down to the aquifer. On the south side, our dirt is made out of sand, and it's probably 8-10 feet down to the aquifer. So we ought to be ecologically concerned, environmental concerned. There ought to be more sewer pipes in the south side, because the south side sewer, rather septic tanks, are more apt to be broken down, overflow, mess up, don't work. Anyway, we ought to be hypersensitive to what happens on the south side, simply because ecologically, we the closest one to the aquifer. And we shouldn't want all that in the Kool-Aid, should we?
We shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I tell you, it's so much at hand, it's so much at stake. And I tell you, this has been an amazing segment. We may have to, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we may have to. I'll have to talk to Doc, but we may have to. I'm going to figure that out. What I may have to figure out, I'll let you all know.
I can figure it out.
I'm trying to figure it out. But listen, in the closing words, with the last 90 seconds that is available, what would you say to all of those listeners that are tuned in right now?
Listeners, you got to be vigilant. Frederick Douglass said that power never concedes anything without a demand. It never has. It never will. And where there is no struggle, there can be no progress. And if the great Frederick Douglass represented how power behaves, nothing has changed except for the changing of the calendar date. It's still the same. We have to get out and vote, because we have a government that is not of the people and for the people. And if you let somebody talk you down, back you down, and make you think that your vote don't count, you've been psychologically wounded and you're intellectually amputated. Get off your rears and get into a fighting mode. Cast your votes, and we have good candidates in all of these races, and many of them are holding themselves out with courage to represent you. So if you see your likeness of mind and value in one of these candidates, please get out and support them. Thank you.
Wow. I like that statement. If you see your likeness in mindset and value, get out and vote for them. It's a good closing statement.
Good closing statement. Certainly want to thank you so much, Chairperson, for all that you have been doing over the last 20 years. And I pray that as you move forward, that things begin to open up even the more in this quest for the next 4 years. Keep it locked right here. It is the community show right here. I'm talking with Nicole, Conversations with Nicole, Conscious Chick Christie. And guess what? Let this commercial bless you. And we're going to be right back. Phone lines. We're going to tie y'all all in real quick. Facebook audience, stay tuned. Don't go nowhere. We're going to wrap it all up in the round table right now. Let's go.
Roll call. Yeah.
I just saw that right there, bro. I didn't even know we was on the. Man, y'all got me here. I have my tie straight out.
Annie.
It was good. It was good. It was good. He's still here if y'all want to ask him some questions. He's still here. Listen, while we on the commercial break and while we have an audience that ain't on the radio, you talked a bit about infrastructure. And I want to give people an opportunity to kind of react to that because there's conversation about the USA lines. And that's the urban service area. So while you're asking and advocating for infrastructure underground for sewage and treatment, talk a little bit about what that means in terms of whose responsibility it will be in terms of jurisdiction for those services once it's done. And what does it mean when they say they want to extend or they want to incorporate certain areas from the county into the city and vice versa?
You know, that's harder to describe. You know, when you, it's kind of like the brain doctor sitting on the front. Then you got to sit here as a family, like, he's looking at him, he says, you know, you got the list, and people come.
They calling. They calling us?
Yes.
What? Oh, okay. So when we get back on, we on.
Am I off the air?
You off the air,
Okay.
but you online.
But you are.
You off the air,
Am I
but you
still
online.
talking to
People.
y'all?
Yeah, you still talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, frankly, urban service line, it's a language. You get into the bureaucracy, you understand it, but sometimes you don't. You think the people know, but they don't know. You don't explain it. But it's a great question. And right now, I'm trying to get the city to annex. You know, the city.
But I need to listen to people who need to call. Not me to call him, because he already got me called.
Because the city stopped. They don't even go down to Tillman Funeral Home. The city does not go past Woodman of the World, Bethel, you know, the Bethel camp. City limits stop.
Right.
They don't
City
go right.
services stop. Right.
But city limit go way out to Golden Eagle. They go way out to Mr. Moore out there to the museum. Look how far city services go to Lake Jackson.
Okay, Marcus on that.
Okay, we coming back on.
Yeah.
But the city doesn't go 2 miles. They don't even
Okay,
go.
We back on the radio.
Yeah. See
Okay.
y'all. Thank y'all.
All right.
Tillman Funeral Home ain't in the city limit.
Uh-oh.
It ain't. So that's what I'm talking about. All right.
I hear
thank
you.
y'all.
I hear you. We're gonna have Commissioner Proctor back, y'all, because we got things to talk about. Yes, sir.
Why can't Tillman be in the city limit? Why everybody got to put ours in the backyard? Huh?
Where you at?
That's what I'm talking about. And those people don't get to vote for mayor daily, but they pay what?
City tax.
They pay city utilities to turn their lights. And it takes $350 to clean out your septic tank. So by the time the city come out and put you on, it's cheaper to get the city service than call the septic tank down.
Hey, listen, if you're being blessed by our roundup, put some hearts on that screen. Put some hearts on that screen. Chief,
This is a power back show today.
Deputy Chief Holmes, how are you?
Hey, man.
Listen, listen, stay tuned. We've got a list of callers that are going to be calling in. We probably need to call them because we're off our time schedule.
Oh,
we got the
okay.
numbers for them.
Okay, I do.
Okay.
They in my phone.
Okay.
In my
All
phone
right.
right.
Okay. If you write the names down and the numbers and Dr. Lee, we're going to
Okay, we
call
got
them.
to call them individually?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Hey, if this is good to you, I mean, certainly we want to make sure that the community show is informed and inspired, and certainly want to thank Commissioner Chairperson Proctor for sharing with us. Want to thank our mayor for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, we're going to get ready to be joined by callers. Nicole is still online with us, and we have a caller that's on, and we get ready to bring on that caller.
That's right. That's right. Our roll call is about to kick
Roll
in.
call is about to kick off.
All right. So Marcus Nicholas is on the line now. Okay. So the first number is.
All right, we are live. Joining us on the call is the new Leon County School Board member, Mr. Marcus Nicholas, along with Nicole. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We are in the middle of a roll call, and we want you to be one of our co-hosts as we examine and listen to some of these wonderful people that have put their hat in the ring of public servants, and talk a little bit, maybe a minute or so, about how your experience was, because you ran a foot race 4 years ago, and this year you just kind of slid right on in there. Talk a little bit about that and how it works.
Oh yeah, so I'll start with, I respect every single person that's out there. Their ground game is strong. They knocking on doors. They are killing it. I saw Pastor James out there yesterday, and I walked up and I was gonna speak, but he was so engaged with his Facebook followers that I just waved and kept it. But I see guys out there every day, and I can tell you, Tallahassee has a lot of skills in the I respect them, everybody.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
My experience is great. What that's the part, I think, in Pastor James, is the fact that you learn so much about the community. Even if you serve the community and specific communities for such a long time, you realize that there's such a diverse thought out there.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody kind of has ideas and opinions, and it's up to you to figure out how to navigate those ideas and opinions. How to listen. I became a better listener, I'll tell you that. I recognize someone once told me you have 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. And I used both my ears while I was running the first time, and I spoke a little less and listened a little more. And it served me very, very well. I stayed engaged, did not go away from myself. Everybody who's running now, you're on the losing end, as I was. You stay engaged, because something you said or something you did on the campaign trail made an impact on your life. And you will reap the benefits later on. Just stay engaged.
That's right.
So, okay.
What did I learn about myself with that question? Yeah, I learned that I'm persistent and pretty resilient. I learned that that I have a great thing, but you really learn. I mean, they're in it, right? So I learned more about my family, the resilience of my family, that they have with me. They really got my back. I learned that, that I'm ready for the position, which was interesting. Because, you run for office with all these aspirations and thoughts, of what you can do. But then it's when you're actually out there talking to people, you find, as Commissioner Proctor just said, what do you say, light, that silver light. I like that phrase, right? And people are thinking the same thing that you're thinking. And now there's a wide margin making something and actually executing. So, I found out about myself that I'm executing and executing. And that was great.
Great. Well, listen, I certainly we're glad to have you joining us, Marcus. Let's get to the phone lines, and we've got about, oh God, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to try to make it happen. We got some callers calling in. Caller, you're on that line. Identify who's calling, and let's get started with what I want to call. I don't even want to call it elevator. I just want to hear the why.
Yeah.
And let's get going. Who's on the call?
Reverend James, this is Admiral Mark, running the Tallahassee High School.
doing absolutely amazing.
Hey, Adner.
Hello, hello. Hey there. Hey everybody. Well, I'm certainly glad to be on. I know you have a lot of callers, so I'll make this quick. The reason that I am running for governor is really making a difference in our community. I think too long we have heard promises from many of our candidates, and really what the people have hopefully as we go forward for our community, where is the promises that people have made. And I think that it doesn't have to be about a personal attack or really like or dislike someone, but it really comes down to what we can't sit here and complain about what's wrong in our community. And make sure that we go along with the majority, because we have to serve the interests of the majority, regardless of how you personally feel or not. Because they're the ones that can elect you in, they're the ones that can keep you in, and they're certainly the ones with the power to vote you out. And so I'm running to be the representative for it, but to also listen to the voice when the community speaks, and that's why I'm running for.
Well, I think that is great. We've known you and your tenure in several different capacities in the community. You're no stranger to a lot of folks. Talk about how you got folks to engage with your campaign.
I'm sorry, I can't hear the last question.
Okay, how can folks engage with your campaign?
Oh, absolutely. We are at Graceland Monday through Friday, except Thursday. Website at kateadner.com or
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for giving us a call. We've got a lot of new candidates coming in, and we're glad to have all of them. And again, to repeat what our earlier guest said, it's just we respect anyone that will put their hat in the race to represent us on the public level. So we appreciate you, kind brother, and we look forward to watching you proliferate as this race, as the primaries continue to come upon us.
All right.
Absolutely. All right, here we go. Roll call. Roll call. Who we got next? Uh-oh. Who we got next?
Wait, they coming.
Oh, they coming in. Listen, they coming in so fast, y'all. The line jamming. Y'all got to give us a minute.
Coming, I tell you. So, I mean, I think this is so important for our community, and it's important for the show. It's a community show, and before Greg James was ever running for office, he took time to just talk to candidates that were running for various positions, just to hear their ideas and thoughts, and to have you all as a part of this segment, Nicole, Conversation with Nicole, Conscious Check, Christy. I think it's just, it's really fulfilling for our audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, to have a real community show, you gotta have a community here. And do we have anyone else? Do we got somebody on? Who we got on?
Yeah, they're coming on. So.
Okay.
So Nicole, I mean, when you think about this election cycle, I mean, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you feeling?
I'm feeling,
All right. Well, listen, we have another caller that's a part of our candidate roundtable countdown. Good afternoon. We want to give you the opportunity to announce yourself, what you're running for, and tell us the why you should be that person.
Well, thank you so much for letting me call in today, and I appreciate Great James Community Show for offering this opportunity. I'm Dr. Marianne R. Ballou, and I'm a candidate for Leon County School Board District 1. And I want to express to you that the reason I'm running is that our district is experiencing academic and financial decline. Evidence that we need a change of leadership. Let me give you a couple of examples. When you look at a district finances, the most important metric is the unassigned fund balance. It's the primary measure of a school district's financial health. Well, our school district went from an 18% fund balance in 2021 to a 3% fund balance in the current budget. That's over an 80% decline in fund balance. And that's really a dangerous precedent that we're setting. When we look at the academics, 2/3 of our alternative schools were rated unsatisfactory. 60% of all of our elementary schools are going to get reading assistance from the state because 50% or more of the students at those schools did not score satisfactory on their reading assessment. And overall, half of our students, almost half, 47%, are not scoring at satisfactory levels academically. So I think there's plenty of evidence to point for the need for change. Personally, I've worked for almost 2 decades to help improve the lives of students. And I believe I bring diversity to the Leon County School Board. I have a different set of experiences, I possess a different set of skills. And this diversity presents an opportunity to strengthen the board at what I consider a critical time, both academically and financially. You know, I think that it's great that some of our schools are A's, and that's how you become a big district, right? You have a mix of A schools and B schools, C's and D's. But I think all of our Leon County schools should be A and B schools. And that's what I will work for if elected. On my website, again, you can learn all about me. It's Mom4Schools, that's Mom, the number 4, schools.com. And my phone number is 850-528-5758. I look forward to hearing from anybody who wants to share their concerns, their ideas, and it's always open for comment. Anyway, so let me ask my host, what questions do you have for me?
Well, I mean, really, I tell you, we wish that we have a lot of questions, but because our time is really running short, we wanted to give you an opportunity, along with so many others, to give us that why. And then hopefully, if time is permissible throughout the week, we may be back on the air. But our whole purpose today was to give an opportunity for you to give that why. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, and let me just say that all of my initiatives, you can find my initiatives on my website where I talk about entrepreneurial programs and experiential learning and everything else that I'd like to try to bring to Leon County. So thank you guys so much.
All right.
Wonderful.
You too, Dr. Blue.
Okay. Wow, listen, I tell you, there's so much going on. We are trying to make it all happen in a matter of minutes. How do we do it, Nicole, in minutes?
I think we're doing all right.
Well, we're getting ready to bring them on right now. I tell you,
Who we got?
Yes. Yes.
I love it. Let me just say, I love this platform, giving everybody.
Okay.
It's kind of their thing.
All right. Well, we got a new caller on the line, and this caller, we don't know who's calling. We don't know who's coming in, but all we want you to do is introduce yourself and give us the why. We got about 12,000 listeners tuned in. They need to hear your why. You're on there.
All right, good afternoon. How's everybody doing? This is your county commissioner at large, Nick Madden.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, what's going on, Greg? How you doing, sir?
Absolutely amazing.
Good. Well, look, man, we're coming up on August 23rd. Election time is coming. This is definitely a time that we experience at our county commission at large, and all of
long-term market. So again, I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I want to hear from you. Come back and vote. Take back to County.
All right.
Love it.
Okay. I mean, what can you say to that?
You can say go vote. That's
Go
what you
vote.
can say.
And that's so important. That's so important. That's so important. Listen, we got callers calling in, and we're going to make sure that we get as many as we can. And we're trying to ensure, Marcus, that they get this 1 minute launch.
That's right. That's right.
City commission candidate and Leon County
Mm-hmm.
candidate and incumbent Leon County commissioner.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Got a good mix.
Got
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
roll call happening. Who we got next?
Well, we're seeing. I certainly want to thank you all for taking the opportunity to do what you have done today.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps someone would say, "Well, I didn't get the email. Or I didn't get a call. I don't know what will happen." But however, listen. Okay, listen. We're taking off once again. We're going to allow you to introduce yourself and give us the why. You are on the air, caller.
Hey, how you doing, brother? James, Dale Martin. Candidate, your candidate.
Hey, Terrence.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yes.
Leon County Commission District 1, man. I'm so proud and honored to share this platform with you this afternoon.
Okay, tell us why the callers, the listeners, should go to the poll and pull the lever for Terrence Barber.
Man, listen, historically, District 1 has been a district franchise. People don't know. District 1 encompasses pretty much every black neighborhood in Leon County. That's every day from Bridgetown, Bond, Providence, all the way through Woodfield, Southside. And everything, all the crime, pretty much poverty has a high concentration in District 1 right now. We've had our current leadership for almost 30 years. And me growing up in this community, and with all due respect to the incumbent, we haven't seen a lot of progress in District 1. I think the OGs won't open new doors, and it's time for a change in District 1. I'm that change.
Wow, well, you heard it right here. You heard it right here on the Great James Community Show. That's Terrence Barber, candidate for County Commission District 1. All right, thank you so much for calling. Listen,
Thank you for calling in.
thank you for calling in. Nicole, I mean, it's hot. It's getting hot. We got other callers coming, so it's a candidate roundup right here on the community show.
Mhm.
And
And we at 253, y'all.
253, and we trying to make it happen.
All right. Okay, well, we got some.
Marcus, what's your thoughts about the races that you're
I think it's an exciting time. Is what I think. I echo some of the sentiments that Nicole echoed earlier, where lots of people have lots of ideas, and I'm just excited for August 23rd. Go out and vote. Go out and vote. August 23rd. I'm excited to see what the people say. Represent them. I'm just excited.
all right? Excitement is still in the air, and we're now going to have another caller on the line. They're going to identify themselves and give us the why. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi there. This is Hannah Crow.
Hey, Hannah.
Hey, how are y'all?
All right.
I'm so busy. Everybody's calling in. Thank you guys for having everybody. Really appreciate it. Excited to be on. And just honored to be able to say that I am running for Leon County Commission for District 2. Been out there for a long time. My family's got deep roots and been a grassroots advocate on the ground, working alongside Leon County, just doing gang residents and connect resources. And I think we all understand how large this group is. So I feel this responsibility to step up and work towards this fight.
Yeah, it's a big old district. I think people really don't understand how big that district is. Talk about how people can, in real quick, how people can engage with your campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can engage with me. It's real simple at realcandercrow.com. That's my website. On my website, at the very top right-hand corner, I've got my contact information, my email, and my Facebook link right there as well. But if you want to go straight to Facebook, you
probably talking about what matters, getting people on, keeping people aware of the issues. So I would be honored if y'all wanted to follow my journey, and this is definitely a journey and one I'm supporting.
Absolutely. Well, we thank you for calling in, and I'm sure we'll be talking in the future as you continue advocacy in the community.
Wonderful. Thank you guys so much for your time, and hope to chat here soon, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Wow. Oh,
All right. Roll call. Roll call. Is anyone else listening to the energy and the voices when they call? You know how you like, I mean, I hear conviction.
They believe in what they're doing. They believe in what they're doing.
Yeah, I can appreciate, even if I can't agree, I can appreciate someone that believes in what they believe.
and that's the key. That's the key.
Yes,
That is the key.
so we're rolling on.
We're
Pastor
rolling.
James,
I mean,
it's
this is-
2:56, and
it's
we
2:56.
still got about 5 more people to roll.
Yeah,
I know our Lord gonna make this 5 fishes and 3 loaves of bread work, but
Yeah, he always come through. We're on a faith station,
Yes,
so
sir.
miracles happen when you hear.
I felt that one, Nicole. That one came from like your toe. Yes,
Wow.
sir. Yes, sir. Okay. All right. Let's see who else we got on here. I think.
Well, I tell you what, listen, we're going to keep the roundup going,
Yeah,
and
keep the
we're
roundup
going to
going.
say to this caller, you're on the air. This is a moment for you to introduce yourself, what seat you're running for, and the why. Well, you are on now.
Hi, I'm Joe Lamar. I'm running for Leon County Commission in District 3. I'm running because I want to see our tax dollars spent on you instead of going to unnecessary projects. And I want to see you have a bigger voice in your community. I want to do something about the homelessness that is overtaking the North Peru corridor. And we also want to do something where we partner our local daycare for children so they can have a better start in their early childhood.
Wow. Wow. Those are real specific issues.
Indeed. How can folks connect with you, Joy?
I'm sorry, say one more time.
How can folks connect with you?
My website is helpjoeywin.org. We actively look out campaigns I have all this week. And we also want to focus on small businesses. We want to see more small businesses be a leading employer in Leon County. Got to keep the Leon County dollars inside Leon County.
Amazing. Thank you for calling in. We look forward to hearing more from you in the future. This is a rapid round table discussion, and we know we could have more conversation if we tried to. But thank you, Joy, for calling in.
All right, thank you back.
All right.
Wow. You know, I tell you, we got one more caller calling in, and I tell you, it has really been a powerful hour and a half.
Mhm.
And certainly, Nicole, you have been right here, and certainly want to thank you for all that you're doing. If there was anything that you would tell this audience about what's happening with early voting and what needs to happen, what would that be?
Yeah. So do research, find out more about the candidates, and get involved, and go out and vote.
Wow. Well, listen, we got another caller. We're going to give you an opportunity to tell us who you are, what you're running for, and the why our listeners should pull the. You're on. You're.
We all know what's happening. And I would say that I every day from my eyes. I want to make a difference. I live in the moment, but we don't have to move along. Because we have so much potential. But we're giving away our funds.
Wow.
All right. Okay, how can they get in touch with you if they want to know more about the campaign with the days ahead?
If they want to get sign up for, go to my website, leon.com, leon.com. That's your contact information. I will get you back.
All right. Well, God bless you. Listen, we're out of time, but we're never out of conversation. With about 10 seconds left, Nicole, why should people be voting for Greg James?
You know, he took that somewhere I wasn't expecting.
I know it. All right, Marcus, with 5 seconds left, why should people be voting? Your vote is your voice.
That's right.
With all that being said, Christy, we're wrapping up now. Listen, until next week, you all have an amazing time, and let's get out to vote.
Go vote early. Thank y'all for tuning in. Keep them questions coming.